Hello and welcome to Wildcat Game Day Preview. I'm your host, Navarrete. Here with me today in the studio is the Daily Northwestern's Lawrence Price. Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Hi, Allie. Thank you for having me here today.
So let's get into last week in Ann Arbor. The Cats were on the road playing number 6 Michigan. Ultimately, didn't go their way, fell 33-7, but at halftime they were only down 10-7. So what went wrong in that second half?
Well, Ellie, like you said, it was only 10-7, and they had the momentum going in to the break. I mean, they had Evan Hull's 75-yard touchdown run in the second quarter, and then to end the second quarter, they also had a fumble stopping Michigan from scoring. So, you know, when you really have that intensity and the juice, you really got to capitalize on it, and that's exactly what they did not do coming out of it. I mean, Michigan ran all over them. Their run game was dominant. They had 2 running backs with over 100 rushing yards by the end of the game. And when you're running the ball, it takes a lot more time off the clock than throwing the ball per se. So when you have a run game that can't be stopped and you can keep running all over a team, and also all their touchdowns were rushing, right? So it was prominent that the run game was getting going, and also Northwestern's offense couldn't get going as well. I mean, if we really look at it, outside of Evan Hull's rushing touchdown, the team had 19 yards on the ground. You can't win like that, and it's going to be really hard to get the offensive production going. So in the second half, they just could not put the pieces together and put out another 30 good minutes.
Yeah, and this weekend, the Cats will be back at home at Ryan Field. They'll be taking on Minnesota, who's currently leading the Big Ten West. What have been some of the highlights in the Golden Gopher season so far?
Well, it's surprising. I mean, they lost their star running back, Mohamed Ibrahim, in the first game to Ohio State, and he was craving up the Ohio State defense. You really thought that he was going to be in Big Ten conversation for Offensive Player of the Year, but when they lose him, you think, what's going to happen, right? And they picked it right back up. Trey Potts, now their starting running back, has the second most yards per game rushing the ball, and that's really where their bread and butter's been. It's been running the ball and also their offensive line. Their offensive line has only given up 9 sacks this whole season. So when you have a dominant offensive line, you got a dominant run game. No matter who's in the backfield, you're going to be hard to stop. So that's really what's been driving the Golden Gophers this season.
Yeah, clearly a really strong running back core from Minnesota, great rushing offense. If the Cats are going to want to get it done at Ryan Field on Saturday, what are they going to have to do to sort of match that offensive firepower?
Well, I got 4 keys, right? I got one of them being stop the run game. The second one, stop the run game. The third one, stop the run game, right? I got another one after that, but stopping the run game is going to be key. I mean, Northwestern, they've given up over 100 rushing yards to a running back in every game but 3, right? Those 3 games they've won. So when you can stop the run game, Northwestern's been pretty solid. I mean, we saw that in the first half against Michigan. They were pretty solid. They were still in the game. If you can stop the run game, you give your team a chance, right? And then also my other subject, again, you need to get your own run game going, right? And I talked about it with Evan Hull earlier. You can't win a game when you only have 19 rushing yards outside of your 75-yard touchdown through 60 minutes, right? That's just you're not going to win the game. And no matter how you get your Ryan Helinski's connecting with his wide receivers, you're going to need a run game, especially when you're going up against really good defensive teams. So if you want to win that game against Minnesota, you're going to need to get those things in check.
Yeah, and really quickly before you go, score prediction and a little bit about why you think that.
Well, I think Northwestern, they're going to get the dub here. You know why? 20-14 W, put it in the Northwestern record book. I say that because Minnesota has only, of course, they're at the top of the Big Ten, right? We talked about it earlier, but they haven't versed anybody shocking. Their resume's not shocking. They beat Nebraska and Purdue, and that's it, right? Nebraska's lower than Northwestern in the Big Ten West in record-wise. Of course, they beat Northwestern, and then Purdue is in the middle of the pack. There's nothing really amazing about them. And when you can stop that run game, you give your team a chance. And if you put out a good 30 minutes like you did against Michigan, number 6 ranked Michigan, like you did in the first half against them, and you do it for 60 minutes, I think the Cats will win. I'm going to go with the Cats here.
All right. You can catch the Cats on Saturday at Ryan Field. Kickoff is 2:30 Central Time. Lawrence, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.